Wait, don't scroll away just yet. If this message has appeared before you today, take a quiet moment and listen with an open heart. Maybe you've been praying in silence. Maybe you've been carrying a burden that no one else can see. You have asked God again and again, "Have you heard me? Are you still with me?" Today, I want to remind you of something that many people forget during seasons of waiting. God is still at work, even when you cannot see the results yet. There are moments in life when everything feels quiet. Doors stay closed. Opportunities seem far away. Your prayers appear unanswered. But silence does not always mean that nothing is happening. Sometimes the greatest work begins where human eyes cannot see. Imagine receiving a sealed letter that has your name on it. You cannot read what is inside until the right moment arrives, but the letter already exists. In the same way, hope can begin before you see the outcome. Faith often grows in the waiting. Perhaps this message is an invitation to stop measuring God's work only by what is visible today. Instead, choose to trust that every act of kindness, every sincere prayer, and every step of faith still matters. So don't lose hope because of yesterday's disappointment. Don't let fear convince you that your story has already been written. The next chapter is not defined by your past mistakes. It is shaped by your faith, your perseverance, and God's wisdom. Stay with me until the end of this message, because we're going to reflect on how God strengthens people during seasons of waiting, why hope is never wasted, and how you can keep your heart ready for whatever tomorrow brings. As you continue listening, I want you to think about the moments when you almost gave up. There are seasons in life when the silence feels heavier than the struggle itself. You pray, you wait, and then another day passes without seeing the answer you hoped for. It is easy to believe that nothing is changing. Yet many people of faith have discovered that waiting can shape the heart in ways that immediate answers never could. Sometimes we expect God's work to arrive with loud signs and dramatic moments, but often the greatest changes begin quietly. A new opportunity, a restored relationship, renewed courage, or unexpected peace may start long before we recognize it. Think about a seed beneath the ground. For days, it appears lifeless, but hidden from view, roots are growing stronger. The surface tells one story, while beneath it, another story is unfolding. Our lives can feel the same way. What seems like delay may actually be preparation. If you have been carrying fear, disappointment, or uncertainty, do not let those emotions become the only voice you hear. Remember the promises of hope found throughout Scripture. God remains faithful. He gives wisdom to those who seek Him, and He does not abandon those who trust Him. Perhaps today is not about receiving every answer immediately. Perhaps today is about choosing faith over fear one more time. That choice alone can change the direction of your heart. Take a moment and ask yourself, what burden have I been trying to carry alone? What worry have I repeated so many times that it has become louder than my hope? Instead of allowing anxiety to write the next chapter of your story, let faith remind you that your future is not determined only by your present circumstances. Even when you cannot see every step ahead, you can still choose to walk with courage. Every prayer, every act of kindness, every decision to keep trusting builds a foundation that is stronger than temporary disappointment. So don't allow one difficult season to convince you that your entire story has been defined. Many of the greatest testimonies begin with long periods of uncertainty. The waiting itself becomes part of the transformation. As we continue, we're going to explore how faith grows during difficult seasons and why some of life's most meaningful breakthroughs begin quietly, long before anyone else notices them. There's another reason why seasons of waiting feel so difficult. It is not only because the answer seems delayed. It is because silence often invites doubt to speak louder than hope. Little by little, questions begin to fill the mind. Did I make the wrong decision? Have I failed too many times? Is anything ever going to change? Many people carry these questions quietly. They smile in front of others while privately wondering whether they still have the strength to keep moving forward. Yet throughout Scripture, we repeatedly see that waiting is not wasted. People often experienced long seasons before they understood how the pieces of their story fit together. Looking back, they realized that even the difficult chapters had shaped them into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Perhaps you have experienced moments like that yourself, a closed door that later protected you, a disappointment that redirected your path, a delay that eventually prepared you for something you could not have handled earlier. At the time, none of those moments made sense. Only later did the picture become clearer. That is why hope is more than wishful thinking. Hope is the quiet decision to believe that today's circumstances are not the final chapter of your life. Think for a moment about the weight you have been carrying. Maybe it is uncertainty about your future. Maybe it is a relationship that feels broken. Maybe it is financial pressure. Maybe it is grief that still lingers long after everyone else has moved on. Whatever it is, you do not have to pretend that it is easy. Faith is not pretending that life never hurts. Faith is choosing not to let pain become your only source of truth. Even in difficult seasons, there can still be reasons to keep walking, to keep praying, to keep encouraging others, and to keep believing that tomorrow does not have to look exactly like today. Sometimes the smallest step forward is also the bravest one. Perhaps today that step is simply refusing to give up, refusing to let fear make every decision, refusing to believe that your value depends on your latest success or failure. Instead, choose to remember that every new day is another opportunity to grow, to learn, and to trust that God continues to guide those who seek Him with sincere hearts. As we continue, let's reflect on how patience can become a source of strength and why some of life's greatest transformations begin quietly, long before anyone else notices them. And perhaps this is where the story begins to change. Not because every problem suddenly disappears, but because your perspective begins to change. There comes a moment when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What can God teach me through this season?" That single question has changed countless lives. It shifts your attention away from fear and toward growth. It reminds you that even when you cannot control every circumstance, you can still choose your response. Imagine walking through a dense forest before sunrise. At first, everything seems dark. The path is difficult to recognize, and every sound feels uncertain. But then, little by little, the first light begins to appear on the horizon. The forest has not changed in an instant, but your ability to see the path has life. Often works the same way. Clarity rarely arrives all at once. It comes, one step at a time, one lesson, one answered prayer, one unexpected act of kindness, one door opening after another. When we only focus on what we have lost, we can overlook the quiet blessings that are already surrounding us. Perhaps someone encouraged you when you needed it. Perhaps you found strength to face another day when you thought you had none left. Perhaps you were protected from a decision that would have led you somewhere you were never meant to go. Sometimes the greatest gifts are the ones we only recognize in hindsight. That is why gratitude is so powerful. Gratitude does not deny pain. It simply refuses to let pain become the whole story. Take a moment to remember one thing that has carried you through difficult seasons before. Maybe it was a promise from Scripture. Maybe it was the support of someone who cared for you. Maybe it was simply the quiet peace that came during prayer when no other answer seemed available. Those moments matter. They remind us that even in uncertainty, we are never completely without hope. The future may still contain unanswered questions, but unanswered questions do not mean an absence of purpose. Sometimes the next chapter begins with a small decision: to keep trusting, to keep loving, to keep serving others, and to keep believing that God can bring good even out of circumstances we do not fully understand. As you reflect on your own journey, don't rush to judge your story before it is finished. Many of the most meaningful chapters are written slowly. The waiting shapes character. The challenges build resilience, and hope continues to grow, often in ways that cannot yet be measured. So if today feels like another ordinary day, don't underestimate what can begin in ordinary moments. Every sunrise offers another opportunity to take one faithful step forward. Keep your heart open, keep your eyes attentive, and keep moving with quiet confidence, knowing that no season lasts forever and that every step of faith has value, even when its results are not immediately visible. In the next part, we'll reflect on how to recognize moments of encouragement and wisdom in everyday life, and how those small moments can strengthen faith during seasons of waiting. As we continue this journey together, there is one truth that becomes clearer with every step. Faith is often strengthened in ordinary moments, not only in extraordinary ones. Many people expect their lives to change in a single dramatic event. They wait for one perfect day, one perfect opportunity, or one unmistakable sign that everything is finally going to be different. But lasting transformation often begins much more quietly. It begins with a decision to keep showing up, to keep praying, to keep choosing kindness, to keep believing that your life still has purpose, even when the road ahead is not completely clear. Think about how rivers shape mountains. They do not change the landscape in a single day. They transform it through steady, patient movement. The same is true for the human heart. Every act of faith, every honest prayer, every choice to forgive, every moment of courage leaves a mark that may not be visible immediately. But over time, those small moments shape the person you become. Perhaps you have been measuring your progress only by visible results. You tell yourself, nothing has changed. But what if something important has already changed within you? What if you have become stronger than you realize, more patient than you once were, more compassionate toward others, more willing to trust even when certainty is impossible? Those changes matter. In many ways, they prepare us for opportunities that we could not have carried before. Life has a way of teaching us lessons gradually. Sometimes, the answers we seek arrive only after we have become the kind of person who can receive them with wisdom and humility. That is why seasons of waiting should never be mistaken for seasons without purpose. There is meaning in learning to persevere. There is meaning in discovering peace that is not dependent on perfect circumstances. There is meaning in becoming someone who can encourage others because you have walked through difficult days yourself. If you feel tired today, remember that being tired does not mean you have failed. It simply means you have been carrying something heavy. Give yourself permission to pause, to breathe, and to remember that hope is renewed. One day at a time. You do not have to have every answer today. You do not have to understand every delay. Sometimes the next faithful step is enough, and perhaps that is the quiet invitation before you now, not to know everything about tomorrow, but to live today with courage, wisdom, and trust, because every meaningful journey is built one step at a time. Every story of perseverance is written one page at a time, and every life shaped by faith grows stronger through countless ordinary moments that eventually become extraordinary when you look back. So don't underestimate the importance of today, the choices you make, the hope you hold on to, and the kindness you show may become the foundation of a chapter that you will one day remember with gratitude. In the next and final part, we'll bring all of these reflections together and consider how to move forward with confidence, hope, and a renewed sense of purpose, no matter what season of life you are in. Now, before this message comes to an end, I want you to slow down for just a moment, not because every question has already been answered, but because some of the most important moments in life happen when we stop, rushing long enough to reflect, think back over everything we have talked about: the waiting, the uncertainty, the moments when hope felt distant, the quiet decisions to keep moving forward even when nothing around you seemed to change. If you've walked through a difficult season, then you already know that life rarely follows the plans we make for ourselves. There are unexpected turns, closed doors, unanswered questions, and days when it feels as though everyone else is moving ahead while you remain standing in the same place. But when you look back over your life honestly, you may also remember moments that once felt like disappointments, but later became turning points. Perhaps there was an opportunity you desperately wanted but never received. At the time, it felt like failure. Months, years later, you realized that missing that opportunity led you towards something healthier, wiser, or more meaningful. Perhaps there was a relationship you fought to keep alive, only to discover later that letting go created room for healing and growth. Perhaps there was a season when you questioned your own abilities, only to discover that those difficult days developed resilience you would never have gained any other. Weighted life often teaches us by connecting the dots only after we have walked through them. That is why hope is never based only on what we can see today. Hope grows because we remember that our perspective is limited, while God's wisdom is greater than our own. Understanding this doesn't remove every difficulty. It doesn't erase every painful memory, but it reminds us that hardship does not have the final word. The final chapter of your story has not been written yet, and because of that, today is still filled with possibility. So if you have been carrying disappointment, do not let it convince you that your future has already been decided. If you have been carrying fear, do not allow it to become the loudest voice in your heart. If you have been carrying regret, remember that every new day is another opportunity to choose a different direction. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is not waiting for extraordinary circumstances. Sometimes it is simply choosing to live faithfully in ordinary ones, choosing patience when you could choose anger, choosing forgiveness when bitterness seems easier, choosing compassion when the world encourages judgment, choosing gratitude when circumstances tempt you to complain. Those choices may appear small, but over time, they shape the kind of person you become, and the person you become is often more important than the situation you are trying to escape. As you leave this message today, don't ask yourself only, when will my circumstances change? Also ask yourself, how can I continue growing in wisdom, faith, and love while I wait? Because those questions lead to lasting transformation. Remember that no season lasts forever. Winter eventually gives way to spring. Night always gives way to morning. Storms eventually pass. Even when you cannot see the horizon clearly, you can still take the next faithful step, one prayer, one act of kindness, one day at a time. Those simple moments, repeated consistently, become a life marked by hope and perseverance. So wherever you are today, don't lose heart. Keep moving forward with courage. Keep seeking wisdom. Keep holding on to hope. And remember that your story is still unfolding. The pages ahead have not yet been written, and every new day offers another opportunity to walk forward with purpose, trusting that God is with those who sincerely seek Him and continue in faith. Before we finish, there is one final thought that I hope stays with you long after this message ends. Life is often measured by the moments everyone else can see, our achievements, our milestones, the doors that open, and the victories we celebrate. Yet some of the most meaningful parts of our journey are completely hidden from the people around us. No one sees the prayers whispered in the middle of the night. No one sees the quiet battles fought within the heart. No one sees the decisions to forgive, to begin again, or to keep trusting when the future feels uncertain. And yet, those unseen moments are often the ones that shape us the most. There is a tendency in today's world to compare our lives with everyone else's highlight reel. We see people celebrating success while we wonder why our own progress feels slow. We see doors opening for others while we continue waiting. We hear stories of sudden breakthroughs and quietly ask ourselves, when will it be my turn? Comparison, however, rarely tells the whole story. Every person carries struggles that remain invisible. Every journey unfolds at its own pace, and every life is shaped by experiences that no one else fully understands. That is why wisdom invites us to stop measuring our progress against someone else's timeline. Instead, we are called to walk faithfully where we are today, not where someone else is, not where we wish we were, but where we have been placed in this very moment. Think about the people whose quiet encouragement changed your life. Perhaps they never stood on a stage. Perhaps they never became famous. Perhaps they never realized the impact they had. Yet a simple conversation, a kind word, or an act of generosity gave you the strength to continue when you felt ready to quit. This is how hope often spreads, not always through dramatic events, but through ordinary people choosing compassion day after day. Maybe you have the opportunity to become that source of encouragement for someone else. Sometimes the greatest gift we can offer another person is simply our presence, to listen without judgment, to pray with sincerity, to remind them that they are not alone, to help them believe that difficult seasons do not last forever. Those moments may seem small, but they often become unforgettable in the life of the person receiving them. As you move forward, remember that your story is still being written. There will be chapters filled with celebration. There will also be chapters marked by waiting. Both have value. The joyful seasons teach gratitude. The difficult seasons teach perseverance. Together, they shape a life that is deeper, wiser, and more compassionate. So, don't be discouraged if today feels ordinary. Don't lose hope if progress seems slower than you expected. Every faithful step still matters. Every act of kindness still matters. Every sincere prayer still matters, even when you cannot immediately see the results. One day, you may look back and realize that what felt like an ordinary season was quietly preparing you for something far greater than you imagined. Until then, continue walking with humility. As this message comes to a close, I want to leave you with one final reflection. Take a deep breath. For just a moment, set aside every distraction, every worry about tomorrow, and every thought that has been weighing heavily on your heart. Life moves so quickly that we often forget to pause and remember what truly matters. We become consumed by deadlines, responsibilities, disappointments, and unanswered questions. Yet in the middle of all that noise, there is an invitation to be still, to reflect, and to remember that hope is never built on circumstances alone. If you have listened this far, perhaps it is because something in your heart was searching for encouragement. Maybe you needed a reminder that difficult seasons do not last forever. Maybe you needed to hear that your value is not measured by your latest success or failure. Or maybe you simply needed a quiet moment to remember that you are not walking through life alone. Whatever brought you here today, don't let this message become just another video that disappears into tomorrow's memories. Instead, carry one simple truth with you. Every new day is another opportunity to begin again. No matter what happened yesterday, today still holds the possibility of wisdom, growth, forgiveness, kindness, and renewed purpose. Think about how many people in history faced seasons when nothing made sense. They experienced uncertainty, disappointment, and long periods of waiting. Yet those same seasons often became the foundation for lives marked by perseverance, humility, and compassion. The same can be true for us. Sometimes we spend so much time asking why a particular door remained closed that we fail to notice another door quietly opening somewhere else. Sometimes we focus so much on what we have lost that we overlook what we have already been given. Gratitude has a remarkable way of changing our perspective. It does not erase hardship. It does not pretend that pain is pleasant. Instead, it reminds us that even in difficult seasons, there are still reasons to hope. Perhaps today you can be thankful for the people who stood beside you when life became difficult. Perhaps you can be thankful for lessons learned through challenges you never wanted to face. Perhaps you can be thankful simply because you have another day to keep moving forward. These small moments of gratitude slowly reshape the heart. They help us see possibilities where fear once saw only obstacles. As you continue your journey, remember that faith is not the absence of questions. Faith is choosing to keep walking, even when every answer has not yet arrived. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is taking the next step despite fear. Hope is not pretending that life is easy. Hope is believing that darkness does not last forever, and love is not merely something we receive, it is something we choose to give, even when life has been difficult. So wherever you are today, choose one small act of faith. Encourage someone who feels discouraged. Forgive someone who has hurt you. If you are able, offer kindness without expecting anything in return. Spend a few quiet moments in prayer and reflection. Open your heart to wisdom found in Scripture. These simple choices repeated day after day can shape an extraordinary life. Years from now, you may look back and discover that what felt like ordinary days were actually the days that transformed your character. You may realize that the quiet moments taught you patience, the difficult moments taught you resilience, the uncertain moments taught you trust, and the joyful moments reminded you to be grateful. So, don't rush through your life wishing every challenge away. Allow each season to teach you something valuable. Carry hope into tomorrow. Carry compassion into every conversation. Carry humility into every success. And carry faith through every unanswered question. Before we say goodbye, I invite you to pause for just a moment. If this message encouraged your heart, don't let the encouragement end here. Take one lesson from today's reflection and apply it this week. Share hope with someone who needs it. Pray for someone who is struggling. Choose forgiveness over resentment. Choose patience over frustration. Choose faith over fear. Small decisions made consistently have the power to change the direction of a life. Thank you for spending this time with me. May God give you wisdom for every decision, strength for every challenge, peace in every season, and hope that remains steady no matter what tomorrow brings. And remember this, your story is still unfolding. The next page has not yet been written. Walk into it with courage, humility, gratitude, and faith. Until next time, take care of your heart, keep seeking what is good, and never stop believing that even the quietest seasons of life can become the beginning of something meaningful.